Hey, good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to take a second. We have to go live on our IG platforms. One second. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the ride, Revive and Thrive. We're back, and wow, we just had an amazing show last week. We talked to a polyamorous couple and, and a monogamous couple, and now we're going to talk about a topic that is very serious and also informative and good. We're going to have a great conversation today. Before we dive into it, I just wanted to thank all of the subscribers on our private platform. We're approaching 900 subscribers on our private platform. But I wanted to say hello to everyone that's joining us live on our Facebook, our personal Facebook pages, as well as the Revive and Thrive Facebook page, and also on our IG, on our personal IG pages, as well as our Revive and Thrive IG pages. Now, for our IG people, we really love you. But unfortunately, the platform we use will not allow us to see your messages in real time. We will try our best. Tamika and Lane and I will try our best to go back and forth. But if you do have questions or comments, please still leave it because we'll go back to them and we can reach out to you separately. I also want to highlight our YouTube platform, which is a phenomenal thing. And going down the line, we love you subscribers on our private platform, but we're trying to go towards the YouTube and want to promote it more. So everyone who are subscribed, go ahead and onto YouTube and subscribe there as well. If you're watching us from Facebook, you will find a link in our description to get you right into the YouTube page. So go ahead, hit there. It's a great experience as well. So before we get into the topic, I'll introduce myself. Hello, everyone. I'm your co-host, KG.
And I'm Tamika Elaine. I see we already got one person joining. Hey, Poncho. Glad to have you here.
Awesome. Love to hear all your comments throughout this because this is an important topic. Today, a lot of the people who follow us are a certain age. Although we look good, we are of a certain age, the over 40 crowd, the majority of us. So one of the things we wanted to point out today, which is the topic, how to build or breaking barriers, building better, healthy habits, particularly with Black men. A lot of what you may know, unfortunately, we're going to get into some of the data here. Black men over 40, and I'm just going to read some facts here, are disproportionately affected by several health conditions, including heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes. These conditions and factors are usually associated with some of the social economic disparities, systematic racism, and limited access to healthcare. And another important aspect of that is mental health. Sometimes depression and anxiety and other factors may lead to that the health going downward. So we wanted to have this platform today just to talk a little bit about that. And it's a perfect time because this is the Mental Health Awareness Month. And I wanted to shout out to all the dads out there because next month, in a few short weeks, we're celebrating Father's Day. So we wanted to make sure that we're let you know that we appreciate you, Black men, and we wanted to have a conversation that can ultimately help you and keep you here longer with us. So I'll throw it over to Tamika and Lane.
Thanks, KG, for setting the stage for this important conversation. So today, as you can see, we are joined by two guests. Let them introduce themselves in a moment, but we're just happy to have you gentlemen here with us to share your professional and personal experience as it relates to mental health and just general physical health amongst Black men. So I'll start with you, Eric. Why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, tell our audience a little bit about your background and also why this topic is important to you.
Hi, my name is Eric Smith. Again, as I said, I am the owner of Full Potential Counseling and Coaching Service in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I've been doing this for some time. I also work for the state of South Carolina, the Department of Mental Health. And this is very important to me, it's very passionate to me. And I've, I've been probably doing this for over 20 years. My background is in mental health, working with children or adolescents, and also men groups. So the group of men that I actually go into the community with, they actually need. I'm just glad to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. And Marcel, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how this topic relates to you personally?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Marcel Allison. And for me, my parents, probably just like probably most Caribbean parents, usually eat bad, right? The food tastes good, but, they usually stuck with stuff like diabetes and high blood pressure. And a lot of those things, I always felt that could be prevented, right? It's one thing when you're young, you could eat whatever you want, but as you get older, just that awareness. So for me, I just want to say to myself, like, how can I still eat some of the things that I like to eat, but also be aware that, not to overdo it, right? And I've always been an active person. Um, 3, 4 days a week, I play basketball. I try to lift weights another 2 or 3 days per week, right? But I feel the key is activity, right? And a little bit about me, I'm going to throw in my little plug. I also run um, a marketing automation company called Chatter.ai, conversational bots and everything else. So enough about that. But yes, that's my story.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we dive in, we just wanted to do a quick little icebreaker. If you gentlemen can tell us what's one thing you do in the morning to just set the tone, set your mood before you get started with your day.
Well, with me, I'm an ordained pastor as well, as a therapist. Uh, the first thing I do in the morning is I actually pray and meditate, followed by scripture and devotional. And then stretching. I do a lot of stretching. I'm getting older, so I do a lot of stretching and deep breathing to start my day.
Awesome. What about you, Marcel?
For me, I go to the gym every morning, 5 a.m., whether it's playing basketball or lifting
Oh wow.
weights. Yeah, every day. And that's how I start my day. Sets the tone.
Oh wow.
Awesome.
Oh wow. So that's really good because I'm listening to you guys. I really need to
I know. I'm
start.
like, same
Woo!
thing. I'm like, I need to adopt some of these principles and strategies.
Yeah, especially the stretching. That was a
Mhm.
great point, Eric, because yes, things aren't as limber and agile as they used
Yes,
to be. I need to
yes,
do that every day.
yes.
And Marcel, oh, 5 in the morning. See, I've never been a morning person. I try to get my workout in though before the day is over, but I should start doing it earlier.
Get it
But
out the way,
so we already highlighted at the beginning about some of the data that impacts Black men, and particularly we know that Black men over 40 face a higher risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even mental health struggles. So I'm going to throw this to Eric. From your perspective, what are some key reasons behind these disparities that Black men face?
Well, the physical aspects of it, I actually spoke to my physician, and if you don't mind, I want to read 6 things that he told me,
Okay.
and
Sure.
so I would like to share with you. The first disparity exists because we do not go to the physician as often, hence, are not getting the labs as often and not getting checked up as often. That was something that he told me. Second, we are less likely to get preventive checkups, such as PSAs, colonoscopy, um, because we tend to go to the doctor less, and statistics shows that we are less likely to comply with taking medication. That is a big thing, and then less likely to go back to the pharmacy for refills. The doctor we can give us medication. We'll take the medication. It runs out. Then all of a sudden we don't go back. And not only physical, also in um, With mental health, it's the same way. Medication is given for treatment, and then all of a sudden they don't go back to pick up the medication. Afterwards, they may get manic, and once they are manic, um, everyone is not realizing what's going on. It's because they started the medication and no longer taking the medication. The other thing is that there are certain cancers, such as prostate cancer, which is more common in us and more often caught in the later stages. Also, the chronic illness such as diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, all of these things that we seem like we do not go and follow through. Um, he said one of the things, the number six thing, is that our diet is worsened because of financial, some because of the income. So those are disparities because of income. We're not always able to get the better quality foods. And so we settle for foods that's not as healthy. And so there's a lot of disparities there. Now, I'm in the South. Another disparity here in the South that I found is being in a rural area. People of colors have barriers such as being able to afford the insurance, and one of the biggest thing that a lot of people don't look at is a disparity is transportation.
Yeah.
In the larger city, they can go on transit. They can get where they need to go. But in the rural area, which is not a lot being spoken about this, and especially when it comes to mental health, people cannot get to a mental health clinic to find out what's going on with them. So they keep them in the back room, keep Uncle Charlie in the back room. And so that is a problem because they're way out in rural areas with no transportation and not able to go and see a physician, not able to go and get the mental health that they need. And it's a big problem. Fortunately, in the larger city, there are transits, there are places that can take them back and forth. Here in the rural area, there's none.
Yeah, you touched on so many great points. And it's hard because when you think about it, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about how we could encourage men, Black men in particular, to get these screenings. I mean, I have some friends also that are a little, I guess, resistant to doing some of these screenings, especially, say, the prostate, colonoscopy, just because they're more invasive, right? So there's that whole challenge there with some friends. I noticed that one of my friends in particular, because he's married, his wife kind of like is the nudge and make sure he goes and does, what he needs to do.
Right.
But I don't know if you guys talk about it amongst your social circles and encourage each other. But what do you think would be some strategies just to get more Black men to go to their physicians on a more routine basis?
Being that I'm in the community a lot, we have a lot of like town hall styles with my fraternity, and so with the fraternity that I'm in, we go out and we start to talk about these things in churches. We have barbershops that we go and we set up, and so those are a lot of things that's how we get the word out. We check up on those brothers. We check up on people that feel like at a certain age, hey man, have you had this done? And so we have those groups, and so that's one of the ways that we do it. Virtually, we have groups, we have checkup meetings, and so a lot of that, even when we like this week we have the bikers, what we call Black Bikers Week here. Yeah. So what we do there, we have stands that's there. We talk about this stuff. We go to the barbershop, as I said before, and certainly in the churches, in the mosques, we talk about this. And so the word is getting out more, and I'm glad about that. But one of the biggest things where it's not so invasive is that when you go and do a PSA by just getting your blood work, the blood tells so much. A lot of men, they don't like to have the physical part of it, but if you can go and just get blood work done, it gives so much back and give you so much information.
Wonderful. Even you mentioned transportation, and I have a family that lives in the suburbs in Georgia, outside of Atlanta, and they were without a vehicle for a period of time, and Yeah, my aunt, she had so much going on and she's like, I can't get to the doctor. I'm like, you guys don't have like Accessoride? We have Accessoride.
Oh,
And I'm like trying to look up things
uh,
for her. So it is a really big challenge in those areas where you need transportation to get to providers. So that's something I don't know. I mean, it's like you have a neighbor that could help or something like that, or you're fortunate enough to have family members that can help. But for those who don't, that's a real challenge.
yes.
Yeah. Definitely. And I know we talked about Marcel, talked about the catalyst in your life growing up in Caribbean parents. And firstly, before we get to the question, we have a comment from a person who's viewing right now, Chambers. So since you mentioned that, Marcel, he asked, what Caribbean foods would you consider to be unhealthy that you feel that contributes to diabetes and heart disease? Or do you have an
So the
opinion?
so the reason why really the foods are bad is the sauce. I mean, the salt and the different
Yeah.
spices. We eat a lot of salt, right? And I feel that, us West Indians in general, we use a lot of seasonings, right? We try to make everything taste good, right? So I would say the first
Mhm.
thing is to cut down on the salt, right? There are natural seasonings, spices that you can use. But a lot of these powdered stuff, just look at the ingredients, right? And I want to just say that in general, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you pick anything up, look at the ingredients and remember it goes in order from how much bad things in it is. So it's
The
like if
greatest.
if the first ingredients is sugar, that's the problem.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And I know, Marcel, you mentioned how being in the household, growing up in this environment, pretty much sparked your interest. Like, you
Mhm.
know what, I got to get healthy. So, you have any advice about how others can take that first step to seeing or changing aspects of their nutrition and or exercise routine, or even starting an
All right.
exercise routine?
Well, one of the things that I became aware of really early on was, my mom, right? She has diabetes, and
Mm,
they gave her a certain amount. She was taking insulin, and she still does, right? And
mm,
what we've seen is that once I started bringing her out, we started exercising. She didn't need the same dosage, but yet the doctor did not want to lower the dosage, right?
mm,
And I had to really go up there, speak to the doctors, like, she does not need this much. Now she's exercising, and based on the quantity, and again, it took us a long time to fight with the doctor just for them to lower her dosage. So, we talk about transformation. A lot of these things are reversible for real, right?
mm,
Mhm.
But they try to put you on medications. And as long as you have the discipline to, guess what? Maybe I should not be eating these processed foods, right? Cut out sugar, right? Again, you may not fully reverse it, right? But those are great stepping blocks to, just having a healthier lifestyle, period, right?
Right.
So
awesome.
that's what really kind of sparked it for me. So I said, you know what? Even though I have a history of it in my family, I feel that I can prevent it by taking these preventative measures now.
Awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know. The one food that comes to mind for me is rice. We eat a lot of rice and rice and rice.
Hmm.
So personally, I've cut out the rice. I'm
Okay.
just like,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Me
Mm-mm.
too. And just to highlight that, if people like carbs, there are complex carbs that are just better,
Hmm.
like sweet potato as an
Hmm.
example. So you can still have those carbs. I mean, we don't want to make it seem like the carbs are wrong per se.
Hmm.
It's just how also in preparation, like Marcel highlighted, that should be looked at as well. Before we proceed, we got a few comments here. I just wanted to showcase. We have H.A. Betts Jr. saying he loves this, he loves the conversation. Put shame and phobias aside and get checked. So this is encouraging Black men to please go to the doctors, as Eric said, go get checked up. Carter Brock mentioned sounds like a business that can be started. Which business, Carter?
I think
Transportation.
transportation.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
Transportation.
transportation. Hey,
Transportation.
all right.
Mm.
That's a great idea. That is true. And he also mentioned because they want to get paid. I know he's referencing the doctors. Of course,
Yeah.
they're going to want to put you on more medication because
Hmm.
that's how
Hmm.
they get
Pharma,
something.
big pharma.
Of course.
Big farmer. That's a whole different topic that we can have.
You know something? Eric brought something up earlier about the foods and the locations, right? And I've
Mm,
seen that, and I'm sure we've all seen it from bigger cities. In
yeah.
certain places, all they sell is honey buns, right?
Yep.
Mm,
Certain neighborhoods, you will never find a honey bun, right? It's
Yep.
like healthy snacks. So it
mhm.
goes back to the disparity in finances too, right? That's a big, big, big part of it.
Excellent point. Yeah, it's just disparities everywhere. It seemed like if you're fortunate enough to live in a certain space, then you
Hmm.
have better access to better food,
Hmm.
and it's just
Sad.
it's terrible. But I don't know. We could read one more comment before we move on. Chambers. So this is a question for you, Eric. Are you saying that cooking healthy food at home is unaffordable for most families? For instance, cooking a pot of rice and quarter chicken leg. This will give you the protein that you need to maintain muscle mass and a whole food source of carbs to fuel your body. Even if you cannot afford veggies, this is still a healthy option. I don't think this would be expensive. So money shouldn't be much of an issue. I have my thoughts on this, but I let Eric chime in since this is directed towards you.
Well, I'm looking at the areas, being a community developer person for over 23 years. Sometimes it's difficult for people to even afford the things that we might think is very inexpensive. For them, it's very expensive. And what happened is that when they have to get something that is a little more expensive, maybe $5 is okay for you. $5 may be a lot for them, and they may go down to something that's 250 and a can of Viennas, and they would choose that. So that's what I'm saying. It's not as always as easy as it seems, and I
Right.
see it all the time. I see it so much. But cooking at home is great. I get what she's saying, or the person is saying. That's great, but sometimes it's a challenge. It's a barrier for so many people. And again, being a community developing person, being out in the community and actually seeing, it's difficult sometimes.
And
Yeah.
I also, before you chime in, KG,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Marcel, you mentioned a key word that I struggle with: discipline, right? So sometimes, we tend to kind of opt for like the easier option, right? So
Hmm.
some of us may not do the going to the grocery store, purchasing,
Mhm.
these foods to make our meals at home. We opt for, we could just go buy this. And, they got these bundles and pack deals and things like that. And they're not usually the best for you. So
Hmm.
I think also discipline is a really big factor when it comes to people changing their habits and living a more healthier lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. That is a great point, Tamika Lane, because I mean, I know people, someone really close to me, hardworking man who's always out, several businesses, and kind of going to what you said about discipline, you and Marcel said about discipline, and also Eric, in terms of sometimes it's just hard for people to cook a meal. I mean, this person live off of Uber Eats like every day, so like it may not just be easy for the average Joe, even those who may have a little bit more money. It's just, it's just hard. It could be hard for that individual to schedule that time to allow an hour to prepare a good meal. But also going back to that question concerning the food, it's just hard out there because a lot of the food that even that chicken leg, there are still variations. There's the organic, there's the, then is the leg that the chicken leg that's been smothered in all kind of chloride and things like that people don't tell us. So and that organic chicken is a lot more money. So it is hard for, I think, the average person, especially in this economy, to navigate or go towards the healthier option. But we just have to try to make a way or
Right.
and figure it out. But anyway, go ahead, Tamika.
Oh no, I was just gonna read Dacia's comment. She says she totally agrees. Men don't like to go to the doctor. She often encourages men to go at least once a year. That way you know what your numbers are and work from there. There's no profit in the current system, so it's your responsibility to take better care of yourself because you don't want to be in a hospital, especially with the current climate and government, which is true. We all know what this administration,
Yeah,
make it a
yeah,
priority. Make
yeah.
it a priority.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh gosh. So changing gears to the focus on mental health. And just going back to you, Eric, in terms of certain mentalities that we also hear, like for men, like be tough, man up, men don't cry. Like, how would you say this mindset affects mental health and overall health over time? Do you see that it prevents men from seeking counsel and things like that?
It definitely does. I mean, that's one of the biggest stigma that we fight all the time with men, especially African American men, because we feel like we've been told something. It's now basically just being accepted as far as mental health counseling in our culture in the black, because there was a saying back in the day, what goes on in my house stays in my house. You see what I'm saying? And so that was something that was said. And you talk about being tough. So what we do, we keep everything inside. Okay. And so when we start to overthink, we internalize. And so when we start to internalize, um, it becomes a problem, because it's just like the CBT therapy.
Mm,
In CBT therapy, one of the first thing is the pyramid we talk about is, or the triangle, the CBT triangle is the first thing. It's what we think, once we get into how we thinking of a situation, then we get into our feelings, and then we get into a behavior. And once we into that behavior, we kind of shut down. We go right back up to the pyramid, and we go back to start thinking. Down from there, we go back into a feeling again. And
mm,
you ever heard somebody say, get out your feelings? So a
yeah.
lot of times it's like we can't even talk about our feelings. We won't even go to counseling. So what we try to do a lot of times, and I'm not judging anyone, but a lot of times we turn to alcohol and substance and
Mm,
those things to try to self-medicate. And that becomes a problem, because now we've heard all our life, toughen up, you know. And I had a young man that came into my office on the other day. He said, my mom kept telling me that stop acting like the B word,
Mm,
And so when your mom is saying something to you, not only your dad is saying it, but now when the person who's supposed to be a nourisher comes to you and says you acting like this, they don't become vulnerable. It's sometimes for men to become vulnerable and to let it out. They don't, but inside they suffer. It was a book that I read not long ago. Is that men cry in the dark, and that is true a lot of time, because we don't want to talk about what's internal, what we're dealing with, because we are too afraid of judge. And so I call going to counseling a safe space. There you be who you need to be and release. It is so many men walking around who have not released, and it's a problem. It's an issue.
okay. No, this is excellent. And just staying with you, Eric, you talked about what men are going through. And if there are men right now listening or viewing in that feel overwhelmed, like what are some steps one can take to feel that release? I'm just wondering, is it me?
I think he might be frozen.
Oh,
Yeah. And well, I think we could switch to so see if you have any thoughts on that, or maybe how fitness may help you in that regard.
Yeah. So, I think that just like with anything, right? It's baby steps, right? We spoke about that word discipline, right? They say it takes what, 21 days to make something a habit,
yes.
and the 3 months for it to be permanent, right? And it's like everyone that goes into the new year, oh, I want to lose weight this year. I want to eat healthy, right? We get so overwhelmed by February, everybody forgets it, right? So I think the key thing is like baby steps, right? If you say, you know what, I want to start eating healthy. Maybe start by saying, you know what, meatless Mondays, right? Or instead of eating processed foods for one day, just eat clean, right? But these baby steps will help you over time because otherwise you're just gonna quote unquote fall off the wagon.
Oh,
Right.
I feel you. No, that's true. Because I want to go a little deeper, especially in the exercise piece, Marcel. But before I do it, so let's read some of the other comments that are coming in. Daisha, well, actor Louis Duval said, it's important to get strong. Daisha says there's no profit in a cure. Definitely. Um, H.A. Bex mentioned that this mental health segment is so crucial. As a Black man, I've been so used to being the rock and taking on everything while protecting those around me. 3 years ago, it culminated into severe depression that I didn't realize immediately, and I didn't have an outlet. At age 42, the first time I sought therapy, I intentionally sought a Black therapist, which I also think is important. It was the best decision of my life. I never knew how much, excuse me, how much emotion and toxins that I was internalizing.
Mm.
Highly recommend, and I appreciate you for sharing that uh, uh, personal detail about yourself, AJ Bex, because I do think that seeking the help of a counselor or someone at the very least, if not a mental health therapist, can be helpful in how you navigate different things in your life. And so
Yeah.
hopefully a
Kudos.
lot more Black men will actually consider that. It looks like
I
Eric
just
is coming
I
back
just
in.
wanted I just wanted to
Go
say
ahead.
kudos to you because that is a great step that you took, for your life. And I just want to say kudos for being strong enough to seek help.
Yes, yes, definitely. And thank you for sharing that. I really do appreciate that. Looks like we have Eric back. Can you hear us, Eric? It looks like you still working it out. We have a question from Marcel from Chambers. What is the best approach he should take in the gym for better health?
Your pace, right? Don't look around, try to be like everybody else, right? Do it at your pace. And again, baby steps. Start once or twice a week, right? And in most cases, people that want to get back into exercise, they typically start with walking, right? 15 minutes per day. It goes a long way. Listen, around 2,000 steps is around a mile. So walking, yes, you definitely take baby steps and create your own schedule. Don't look around to try to be everybody else. That's how you get hurt.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's one key component of how you change your lifestyle to be, to live more healthy. I don't know if we want to get into just how you change your personal diet and what that journey was for you and why you decided to. Well, you gave us some history about growing
Mhm.
up in the Caribbean household and just the health factors that impacted your family. But how did you make that transition?
So for me, it's kind of like a interesting story. So I've never really been a big meat eater. Even stuff like steak, like beef, I eat maybe 3 or 4 times a year, right? But really good stuff. And then I've never eaten pork just because that's how I grew up. So it was really chicken and sometimes fish, right? So to make a long story short, as I mentioned, I'm Jamaican, right? And I used to go there often. My cousin, he had a goat, right? A pet goat. I mean, for like 2 years, he treated it like it was his pet dog. One day
Yeah.
he woke up and said, "I'm gonna eat it." So I was like, "Wow!" Just like that. When they strung him up, and I just seen the eyes, how he was looking around at my cousin, and just thinking, "I can't believe you're doing this to me." And we killed him, we ate him, but the meat was just so gamey. I was like, I think I'm done with this. And that started my transformation. And this is something I've eaten often, right? And from there, I did it in baby steps, as I said. I stopped eating red meat, period. I just went to chicken maybe, once in a while. Then I cut that out. And then I just only ate fish for about 2 years, right? And then I cut out eggs after, and it just became natural. But it was a process.
Oh my God, that just brought back a memory, Marcel, because something I similar happened to me. My father's Jamaican, so I went to Jamaica a lot during my childhood. And it's funny because I did befriend a goat that was on my grandmother's
I
farm.
was waiting for you.
Oh my God. I mean, I never had a pet, so I guess it was something at that point. It was similar to a dog. I
Hmm.
was feeding it little mud pies. We were
Hmm.
hanging out, hanging tough. And then my grandma was like, come in the house and take a nap. I was like, okay. Then she woke me up, I was like, dinner's ready. And I ate. It was good. Whatever. It was good. And I said, no, I'm going back out to play with my friend. And I'm like, where my goat? Oh, you ate him. The
That's
smell of
dramatic.
goat, I
Yep.
can't never look
Hmm.
at goat. Yeah,
Hmm.
so no, but
Hmm.
I should be more of a vegan like you, but I can't even look at a goat. Ugh.
Yeah,
But anyway, yes, that
it was
yeah, I can
dramatic.
understand how that helped you on your vegan journey.
It definitely did.
Hey
Definitely
Eric,
did.
are you back? You can hear us?
I'm back. I didn't know what
Okay, yeah,
I
we
hear
hear
you.
you.
Okay.
You
I don't know what happened.
That's okay. It's all right. This happens. Technology. You probably didn't hear, but you did get a lot of kudos. One of the viewers shared his, one of his personal antidotes with therapy and how basically, he went to therapy for the first time at 42 and it actually changed his life as the best decision he's ever made. And it helped him to navigate through his issues and things like that. So I just wanted to point out there how important it is, the whole mental health. I don't know if you had anything last to say before we could be moving towards more of the nutrition side, but I didn't know, give you an opportunity if you wanted to provide any last antidotes or any tips or advice concerning the mental health area.
Yeah, I think when
Well,
we left
I
off,
would
we were
say
talking about steps that people could take.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Tamika Lane.
you say the steps that they can go as
Yeah,
far
some
as for
practical
mental
steps
health.
that people can take in terms of those who feel overwhelmed and want to prioritize their mental wellness, practical things that people could do.
So one of the things is that I like giving people tools, just like a construction worker, he has to have tools. Just like a carpenter, he have to have tools. So even when it comes to mental health, you have to have tools to work with. So I try to give little small things like the three C's. Um, and one of the three C's is that um, you got to learn to catch it. Okay, what are we trying to catch? We got to catch the emotion. What's going on with me? Catch that emotion, catch that sadness, catch that anxiety. Why do you have the anxiety? Catch it, catch that, abnormal thought. So catch it. All right. So once I catch it, then, you know, I'm going to check it. And check it means that I'm going to challenge it. I'm going to go and research, why am I feeling this way? What's happening to me? So now I'm checking, I'm looking for evidence. Why should I be feeling this way? And so after catching it, checking it, and then when I find it, what's going on with me, now I'm going to start changing it. And once changing it, steps to start changing it. Now you formulate a plan, a strategy on how you're starting to change it. Because a lot of times, one of the biggest emotions that come to us, we wonder, like, man, why am I feeling this way? It's mood. Catch the mood. What got me in this mood? That's all it is. Catch it, check it, change it. And the other thing is also is communication. Communication is a big skill. I said the four T's. What are the four T's? When you having a communication with anybody, you got to make sure of the timing. Okay, so the first thing is about the timing. Make sure that the timing is right, and maybe you want to talk about something that you can't really talk about. With some people, but now you got to make sure that timing is right to talk about it or to discuss it. And then after that, you got to make sure that the tone is right. That's the second T. You got to make sure your tone is right. For somebody to really hear you, you got to make sure that tone is right when you're dealing with mental health, because you can't just go and start being critical. You got to listen, making sure the tone is right. The third one is that you got to make sure that the technique is right. That's the third T. So a lot of time with technique, I have a special needs son. So I can't go there and just start being critical with him. If he's cutting the lawn and part of the grass is high and the other part is low and different things I can't go out there and start being so critical. So I have to go out and say, man, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. You're really helping Dad. I'm getting older. I'm glad you're helping me. And then you start giving them all of those great things first. And then you come in and say, the next time you cut the grass, can you adjust the blade a little bit? Then you go in and do the critical part. And then the fourth part of that, you got to be able to be truthful. That's the fourth T, is truth. And everybody have their own truth. You know what I'm saying? So all of those things dealing with mental health, because when you start overthinking, did I say it the right way? Was it the right time? Now you're starting to overthink. And from overthinking, what happened is we get stuck all day thinking about something I said and I shouldn't have said. I tell people all the time, you got to minimize your worrying. And how do you minimize your worrying? We got 24 hours in a day. Maybe you're going to say, with me, I choose 30 minutes out of that day, whatever I got going on, anything I got going on, because it affects my mental health. I come back and I say, all right, from 4:30 to 5 o'clock, I'm going to worry about this issue. I'm going to give it 30 minutes. You see what I'm saying? And the rest of the time, I'm not going to worry about it. If it goes over 1 minute, nope, it's got to go back to the next day. And then you start compartmentalizing. What is the most important thing that I'm worrying about? So anxiety, stress, and all of those things, these are tools. We got to use the tools that the therapists are giving us. We don't have the answers. The only thing that a therapist can do is just like I say it all the time. If you come in with me in my office, it's like having a flashlight. You're holding the flashlight, I'm holding the flashlight, and we're in a cave and we're pointing this light, and this light is showing us how to get out of this cave. I'm not going to give you answers and different things like that, because I'm not helping you that way. I got to give you the tools to work with. Okay.
Oh man, this is great. Great tips. I mean, everyone could use these, even us women.
I mean, that's interesting. Trying the compartmentalizing a particular, I guess, stress into a certain period of your day. Because I can
Because
worry
if not, we worry all day. We worry
No,
all
I
day.
do. Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
know.
And it's like, okay. And as a therapist, I see over 1,000 people a year, and as a pastor, so I have to learn how to compartmentalize and not get so stressed out, because not only do I have to deal with their situation, I have my own life to deal with. And with 9 children, I got
Ooh.
grandchildren and all of that. It's a lot. And so,
Okay.
and the other part of that is that we got to get our
Sure.
self-care in. So that's a lot.
Ooh, self-care. I mean, I know we could take a little detour. That's a great question. What do you two gentlemen do and for self-care? Well, how do you care for yourselves and make it special just for you? What are some things you do?
Listen, steam room, saunas,
Okay.
manicures, pedicures, massages,
Oh, all right.
He said it all, and I'm the same way. And guys are getting into that, pedicures,
Yeah.
manicures, and I never want, I'm a country boy, so as far as getting a pedicure or manicure, at first I jump into bed with my wife, and my feet was cutting her up, and she's like, "Oh no, boy, you got to go to the spa." And so that's what happened, and I'm like, nah, I'm that manly type of person. But then now I'm starting to feel like, okay, I need this. I look forward to her every 4 weeks. I'm looking forward to going back, and so those are the things. But a lot of times, self-care, people don't understand. Sometimes self-care may not be that trip or going to the spa or any of that. Sometimes it may be stepping back from a situation, long enough to breathe. That's self-care. Because sometimes we get so stuck in it, and we become dogmatic, and we just get there and we want to finish it out. No, sometimes you got to take a breather and step back. That's self-care. Okay.
Mm.
People think I got to take a trip. No, you got to back away from the stuff that your mind is so focused on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, I love this. I love this. I love hearing this because Tamika and Elaine and I did a show about self-care last year, but I love hearing the masculine point of view, and it's quite similar. But to switch gears, going back to more of the nutrition side, I know Marcel was talking a little bit about his vegan journey, but do you have any tips? And we also have a question from the viewers to you, Marcel. But firstly, can you do you have any tips of how to make a plant-based diet for the everyday man, like doable or even
I
appetizing
was
for
gonna say
someone?
appetizing as well.
Okay, so
Are you having ideas?
so one of the first things, right? Like you want to be around like-minded people, right?
Mm,
Because if you're the only one that's eating healthy and everybody's eating junk, you're eventually going to start eating junk with everybody else. So even
okay.
I mentioned I play basketball at 5 a.m. The reason why, because there's 8, 9, 10 other guys that play basketball at 5 a.m. Right? So again,
Mm,
like-minded people that helps the journey. Um, but in general, listen. Right now with AI, Chat GPT, you could literally say these are the ingredients I have in my cabinet.
mm,
I want this type, and it'll give you a full recipe. So there's really no excuse nowadays.
mm.
To eat healthy, right? The resources are there at our fingertips as long as you have internet.
That's a great point.
It's
Thank
true.
you for bringing that up. Yeah, AI really helps
Yes.
Mhm,
you simplify your life.
mhm.
So you
Absolutely,
just got to use it.
it's true.
That's an excellent point. Thank you, Marcel.
Do you
We
have any go-tos though in terms of things that you like?
oh yeah, like to eat. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, my girl makes the best rasta pasta, right? And I'll tell
Ooh.
you, yeah, that's man. But I love spicy food, cauliflower, you know, there are so many things that you could do with tofu, right? Because again, it takes the flavor of of whatever it is. So it's hard to say go to per se, but I'll say rasta pasta is my favorite.
Nice. What about oyster mushrooms? Do you like that?
Yes. So
Oh
that
yeah.
you could make so many things with that, right?
Yeah.
Mushrooms, they the way you make it, it could taste like meat. Of course, it's
Yes,
not
it
meat, but
does.
I'm telling you,
Mm,
so many things you could do with different types of mushrooms.
awesome. Okay, let's get to the question. We have a question for you, Marcel. What do you do when in the gym?
Everything, right? So as I said, I work out. I try to work out 3 days a week. So one day would be upper body, one day lower body, and one day core and lower back. Right? Very important. Um, but
Okay.
yeah, I do know everything. Weights, free weights. But I'm not a gym rat per se. I much rather the cardio. But what I've seen as we get older, right? These young boys, right? They are in the gym and they start to push you around. So it kind of forced me to get back into the gym to get stronger because just cardio alone is not enough.
Right.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
probably
thank
Eric could
you.
talk about that more as you get older, how you lose the muscle
Yeah.
mass and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good segue. I was just thinking, Eric, are there some changes that you've made to your diet or maybe exercise regimen that you'd like to share?
I'm definitely going to get up with him after this segment. But yeah, one of the biggest thing is that I suffered from hypertension at the age of 16. And so from hypertension, it was something that my father unfortunately passed on. And after then, I was still an athlete, but there were certain things I suffered from. And then when I got a little older, it was like I was so busy that I wasn't watching my health. And next thing I knew, I had blown up to like 300 pounds. And so 300 pounds, then finding out that I was a diabetic. So my A1C was like 14. My kidneys was starting to shut down. They were talking about going on dialysis. So all of those things, and I panicked. I was still trying to work out, but at the time they was like, okay, next month you're gonna have to go, or a couple of months from now you're gonna have to go on dialysis.
Hmm.
Make a long story short, what I did was I did the lap band, and so when I did the lap band, um, I got an infection from it.
Mhm.
And from the infection, it was like, okay, now we got to go inside and do the surgery. And then all of this that started happening to me. After that happened, I went, got got better. Um, I hired me a trainer, was another fraternity brother of mine,
Okay.
but he was a bodybuilder, and so we got in there and started working, and I went from 300 some pounds down to like 230, and it was just basically working out, getting up every morning at 4 o'clock, have to be to work at 7 o'clock, but I was in the gym at 4. And first it was around COVID time, so I was doing it at home. And so just calisthenics, and that was the best for me. And we just started losing weight. And then it was what I was eating. I watched what I was eating, the type of protein that went in my body. So all of those things. And I just changed my lifestyle. The hardest thing was the fact that my wife was or is a chef, and she was so
Oh.
used to doing southern type food or
Mm.
Japanese dishes, and it was like, oh my god, my Japanese food, it was like, that was the thing. And I had to learn how to back away from it and then have a conversation with her and say, baby, I want to live, do you want me to live? So then I started losing the weight again, and just watching what I was eating and doing it in moderation too, because
Mhm.
when you're a country boy, you out on the farm, you working a different thing. We get these huge plates. We didn't eat in moderation. We just like put a whole bunch of massive food on there. And it was like, okay, like my grandfather was like, eat it, get some bread with that, get some rice with that. You were talking about rice, get some rice with that, get some gravy on it. And it was like I had to retrain myself how to eat through the help of my coach. And that was the best thing for me. You know, it's great. And now working out, I do it like 3 times out of the week. And I was doing it like almost every day, but I had to cut back. But that's for me, that's great. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So I'm hearing a lot of getting help. It's okay to get help, gentlemen out there, whether it's a nutrition coach or a exercise coach or a therapist. It's okay to ask for help. That's one thing, Black man, we can do more of. That's great. So we can go forward now. We got rapid fire questions. So the first thing that comes to mind. You ready? Okay, go ahead, Tamika.
All right. So we're talking about guilty pleasure now. Do you guys have a guilty pleasure food?
Yes, for me, it is pound cakes. That's a guilty pleasure, and spaghetti. So those are my guilty pleasure.
For me, it's these impossible nuggets. Man, I know
Oh,
it's processed, but man, you could cut them up in a salad. You could make a chicken sandwich from it. Not real chicken, but man, I love it.
okay.
The
Well,
impossible chicken nuggets, very good.
yeah, that impossible.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't know what's in there. I'm sure it's so bad for you, but
So what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
so again,
Is that
as
to
I said
me?
before. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
Go ahead. We start with
Go
you,
ahead. Go
Eric.
ahead, bro.
Oh.
Listen,
No, my
I love the
favorite
steam.
way to unwind. You said the steamroll. My
I
favorite
love the
way to
steam.
unwind is actually coming home and getting my little 7-pound Maltese, and just let him jump on my lap, and I'm just brushing him and different things, and just let him play with me. That's my favorite way to unwind. It's I've always had massive dog, German shepherds or whatever. This little 7-pound Maltese stole my heart, and so
Oh,
I just unwind that way. Just that's me.
Oh, I know
oh,
you love that, right, KG? She
of
loves.
course. I'm a dog lover. I think Marcel knows that
I
too.
know.
Go ahead, Marcel. What's your
Yeah,
favorite way?
as I was saying, me is steam room. Like it's like 15 minutes of meditation. You Eric kind of
Mm,
alluded to like not thinking about anything, right? And I wish I could do it more often, but I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
um,
We have H.A. Bex Jr. chiming in with his guilty pleasures: croissants and bread pudding. It's
mm.
Oh,
Yeah, I love some. Yeah, yeah,
Mm, good bread pudding. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
So if you could work out or meditate with a celebrity, who would it be? That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
For me, Steph Curry, basketball for sure. Work out with him.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You think you could shoot threes like him, or what?
Listen, I'll be out there. I'm telling you. I'm
We be
telling you.
trying.
I'm telling you.
What What about you, Eric?
I was going to say Steph as well,
Oh
but
my God, are you
yeah,
serious?
I really
With
was
all
going to
these
say
great
that.
Knicks players? I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Nah.
I was going to say him, but
He's
my
different.
thing, I think I would go with Derrick Henry as far as having to work out.
Oh
With Derrick
yeah.
Henry. Yes,
Oh yeah. Oh, he's
Football,
a
huh?
beast.
yes,
Running
yes.
back.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so what's a
Look at you
health
knowing your
myth?
health.
Huh?
I'm saying, look at you knowing your football.
Yeah, she know
I'm
it.
a
Right,
You know,
right,
I'm a
Marcel.
sports
She know
fanatic.
it.
you know.
I enjoy sports, basketball and
Nice,
football particularly.
nice.
But
Not me anymore.
see, she was the first. Tamika Lane and I went to a Giants game. I think that's the first game I went to. So at one
Really?
point, yeah,
Oh.
it was like over 10 years ago because this is when Eli Manning was still playing. But anyway, I'm sorry, guys. Uh, what's a health myth you like to bust right now?
For me, an apple a day keep the doctor
Just
away.
a way.
I yeah, I think that's just a myth. And then the other one is eating raw eggs build muscle. I tried that as a teenager. I'm going to the gym trying to build muscle, and I'm just eating all this raw eggs, and now getting sick. Not realizing what was going on. So those myths for me.
Awesome. What about you, Marcel?
Listen, vegans are weak.
Oh,
Comcast one of them.
that's a good one. That is a good one because
I
it's
got one for you to test right now. I'll show you how weak he is.
so. Is it that hard to get a lot of protein sources as a vegan for you, or do you feel
It
like you
is.
get
You
enough?
have to consciously think about it. You have to intentionally make sure that you get your proteins in there. But it helps with multivitamins, but you do have to
Ooh,
consciously say, okay, I need to get 50, 60 grams of protein daily.
yeah,
And
definitely. Wow.
Last one. Do either of you have a mantra or a piece of advice that you live by?
For me, it is um, just like I teach people who have suicide ideation. I tell them the same thing that I live by. I'm enough. You are enough.
Hmm,
So I'm enough. That's what I live by. I'm enough.
that's great.
for me, it's discipline over motivation, right? Motivation fades, but discipline keeps going.
Good.
I love
Oh,
it.
the challenge for me. Oh my gosh.
Discipline. Yeah. But I just wanted to say thank you, gentlemen, for this conversation today. And I hope the viewers were able to catch these nuggets because a lot of nuggets were thrown. And I'm hoping that people who did listen and can start implementing small steps into making sure that they enrich their lives, get healthier with their lives. So I really appreciate the both of you, Eric and Marcel, for coming on the show today. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Thank you
Yes,
for
I'd
All
having
like
us.
right.
to echo
All right.
KG's sentiments. This was very insightful. Thank you for sharing your, professional expertise and also your personal health journeys. And I also have a final takeaway for those in the New York City area. There's actually a health fest coming up that is catered or geared towards men. It's called the Black Men's Health Festival. It's
Oh,
happening the first weekend in June, June 6th and June 7th. They're going to have a sweat fet from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Crown Hill Theater. And then also the actual festival is going to be the next day, that's Saturday, June 7th, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Weeksville Heritage Center. And they're going to have lots of vendors, screenings, it's just a great way to engage in community. So if you guys are, any of our viewers are in the New York City area, in Brooklyn, definitely check out the Black Men's Health Festival. And you can find out more information at imhbs.org. So just
awesome.
one little takeaway there.
That's awesome. Please, everyone, take advantage of that opportunity if you are in the NYC area. Just the last shout out to one of the viewers, H.A. Beck. He also wanted to acknowledge who he would love to work out with. Prime. He wanted to emphasize Prime Usain Bolt. Not now. I guess if you see where he got, he's not as in shape as he used to be, but that's fine. That's fine. He did his time. And a mantra that may be helpful to others, that is obviously helpful to him, is bet on yourself and don't listen to the detractors. So don't be listening to the haters out there. Just always bet on yourself. So we'll leave with that. Thank you, everyone, for joining in today. Hopefully, you got a lot of valuable information. Like I know I definitely did. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
All right.
you.
All right.
Saturday.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.